two of the games in the Olympic women's football tournament that I wanted to focus on from the first day now were the Canada versus Australia game, which was definitely one of the most intriguing first round or first match day games, and then also the France Colombia game. So I'll start with the Canada Australia game. Canada won this game 2-0. There were This might have been the most exciting game of the day. It was really a wide open game, just one attack end of the field to the other. Uh, as I said, Canada won the game 2-0. Canada scored 20 seconds into the game off of a really nice play from Christine Sinclair. She got the assist. But then, just about in 20 minutes, Canada got a red card for a denial of a goal scoring opportunity. So they played basically 70 minutes down a player. And Australia has a really good team. And what was interesting is that I thought that Canada probably, even after the red card, had just as many, probably more goal scoring chances than Australia did. So they were up. Canada was up 1-0 from the goal 20 seconds in, and they wound up getting another goal at the 80th minute from Christine Sinclair, their leader. But in the second half, they also had one huge chance where they had a player free in the Australia half, and the Canadian player beat the keeper through her legs, and then one of the Australian defenders cleared it off the line, but the ball was going in, so that would have been another goal. This was a big game, and this is Group F, because the other team in this group is Germany, and then there's also Zimbabwe. So most people, I think, expect Canada and Australia to beat Zimbabwe, although that's not guaranteed by any stretch. But then they'll both have a tough game against Germany. So the winner of this game put themselves in really good position to finish second and guarantee themselves a place in the knockout round. That's why, and this game definitely lived up to the hype. And I know when I'm giving all this credit to Canada, and they absolutely deserve it, but I don't think Australia played too poorly. I think they have a lot of talent. Sam Kerr, who actually came off at halftime, which was surprising, but 1 through 11, they're a solid team, and I just think two teams played well, and they just wound up losing. I don't think that the reason they lost wasn't because they played bad. I think that Canada just played really well. So from an Australian perspective, I don't think their tournament's some by any stretch. I actually give them a decent chance against Germany. I think Germany will win that game, but it wouldn't shock me if Australia either got a draw out of that game or even won it. And then, as I said, they'll probably be expected to beat Zimbabwe. I wanted to mention a couple of things in particular for Canada and how well they played. Obviously, to a certain extent, it goes without saying that their leader is Christine Sinclair, and she played great. She had a goal. She set up the other one. But so you could talk about her for the whole video and just how much she means to the Canadian team. But a couple of things. First, Khadija Buchanan, the young center back, played really well, as we've come to expect. She was, especially because the Canadian player who got sent off was the other center back. So she had a lot of responsibility, and time again, she was breaking plays up, a key tackle, a key step to break up a Australian attack. So I wanted to mention her. And then I also really wanted to mention Ashley Lawrence, another Canadian player who in the World Cup last year played more of an attacking midfield, but in this game she played more of, really, I would say, fullback. So a defensive first role, and I thought she played phenomenal. Not only did she do great things defensively, but I thought the best thing she did was she was great on the ball. So when a teammate passed it to her, or when she got the ball, just at her feet, she was unbelievable. She almost never gave it up. She always picked the right pass. She was great dribbling. She helped out in the attack, even once they were down to 10. So I wanted to mention that. And interestingly enough, their teammates for West Virginia in the NCAA. I'm assuming they'll miss the beginning of this season. Um, but that's just an interesting fact. So those two young players for Canada played really well. Um, One other thing I would mention with Canada is Desiree Scott. Again, nice game. She's so key for that team with breaking up plays, and especially once they're down to 10 against a team like Australia, she had to really step up there. Um, Other than that, for Canada, just overall they looked really good. So well done to them. And not all is over for Australia. They've got, like I said, they've got a really good 1 through 11, and I think we'll hear from them before this tournament's over. That was a tough game for them. It was an entertaining game. I loved watching that game. Like I said, there were so many chances. It was probably the best game of the day, although there were a few good ones. So now moving on, I'm going to do these in the same video. I was going to do one for each, but I just decided to combine them. The France-Colombia game, which was the last game of the day. France won 4-0 and played tremendous. They were actually my pick coming into the tournament to win the gold medal, which was, I went back and forth on that so many times, but I really like this French team. They've got so many talented players. Eugenie Lesamé played so good. She had a goal. She really basically had another one that she set up that ultimately was a Colombian own goal. She's just so good, whether she's playing the number 9 or a little deeper as more of a number 10. Louisa Nassib, who just got married about a month ago, so now she's known as Catamoro. I'm going to get that right. But I'll just call her Louisa Nassib for now. That's number 14. She played well, phenomenal player. Really good on the ball. Just really creative. Fun player to watch. But now, as good as the French were both in attack and as good of attacking players as they have, they were equally impressive in the back. They have two really good center backs, big players, really tall, and then they have a great keeper, and Sarah Buhadi, who played really well. She's one of my favorite keepers to watch just because she's really good. If you can, a comparison to a male keeper would be almost like a Manuel Neuer type, just with the ability to play with the ball at your feet, sweep when you need to. So I wanted to mention her. And then I'll just mention one more time, Eugenie Lesamé played really well, and she's probably one of my favorite women's player to watch in the world. She's one of the best for sure. So just well done to France. From Colombia's perspective, this was a tough game. They kind of just ran into a really committed French team. But similar to how I was just talking about Australia, I don't think Colombia's tournament is done. But they are in that really tough group. So next they have to play New Zealand, and that'll be a really tough, scrappy game with both teams knowing that they really have to get 3 points if they want to advance. And then Colombia ends the group stage with the U.S., which will, of course, be a tough game. They just could never get a foothold. They conceded early, but I give all that credit to France though. I don't really fault Colombia. France just played phenomenal. As I said a few times. So Colombia, their tournament, very similar to Australia. Their tournament's not done with this format where 3 teams from each group can advance. They're not out of it, but they need to get a result against New Zealand, because if they lose to New Zealand, which I picked New Zealand in that game, but if they do wind up losing to New Zealand in that game, then they're really up against it, because then they'd have to get 3 points against the U.S. in that third game, and that will be difficult. Although Colombia's got a decent team, so I'm not ruling them out by any stretch. But it was tough for them to open up against France. But that's the beauty of this of the Olympics. in another video, I kind of mentioned how this 12-team format is so unique and how a lot of good teams aren't even there. But one good thing that does do is it forces these good teams to play right away. There's no time to kind of ease your way into the tournament. You gotta be full go from the first whistle, as we'll see Saturday. So I'll just give a brief preview of Saturday. So the U.S. and France play. There's a lot of other good games on Saturday as well. Again, all six. There's gonna be all 6 second match day games are gonna be on Saturday. So it's gonna come boom, boom, boom. In regards to the U.S. France game, I think it has an opportunity for group stage game just to be really epic. I think France is one of the teams that I think can outpossess the U.S. and I really think, all things being equal, I think the talent is almost equal between these two teams. So all I can say is I'm really looking forward to this game. I'll definitely break down this game after it, and I can't wait. I think from the if they a draw, one thing I will note, if the U.S. and France draw, that's big because with the France winning 4-0 against Colombia, they for now have a goal differential advantage against the U.S. So if the France and the U.S. draw, and then France beats New Zealand, and then the U.S. beats Colombia, the U.S. will have to beat Colombia probably by depending on how France, New Zealand, depending on what that scoreline is, the U.S. will have to beat Colombia in that third game by a similar goal margin if they want to win the group. They would still advance as the second team into the knockout stage, but they might have a little bit of a more difficult game if they get that second slot in the group. Although I will mention, as the last thing I'll say, is that sometimes, especially once again in this 12-team format, sometimes it can just be the luck of the draw, and that the second team from a group can actually have an easier game in the knockout stage than the first team. It's just because there's no seeds or anything. It's just all pre-plotted, and but most of the time it is an advantage to be first. But there are exceptions, and there's a possibility for that. If there's a upset in another group, and then you actually finish first, and you're excited, but then you have to be like, oh, we have to play, this team who probably should have won their group, but they've wound up being second, so now we have to play them even though we won our group. So I'll just mention that. So in summary, well done to France for beating Colombia. That was a great game. Colombia, they still have a shot, so they shouldn't be too disappointed. And just get ready for Saturday. It's going to be a great day, headlined by the U.S.-France game. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to comment or email me with anything you think I might have missed, or any of your thoughts on any of these games, or how you think the tournament is going to play out moving forward. Okay, talk to you soon.